The Frame Center Podcast.
Okay, welcome to the Frame Center Podcast. We're back with our second episode for 2023, and I'm really excited to have our guest today, Laura Jennings. Laura's a fantastic artist who has paintings in numerous places, but she's also a fantastic person. I've always enjoyed talking to her, so I'm really looking forward to the conversation today and looking forward to getting her out in front of the people that listen. And I don't know,
hopefully we can broaden your audience to a whole bunch of new people. So,
well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so flattered and honored to be here.
I'm excited to have you in. I'm a big fan of your work. We had some of your pieces hanging during the holiday show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a great idea.
Yeah, no, Dina's idea, but my space, so I get I get partial.
It's a byline on that.
I get partial credit for it. But yeah, and you're in Marshfield, right?
Yep.
And you've been in Marshfield for a long time? Or?
18 years, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, about 18 and a half.
Have you always been up this way, like in north? Or
I actually grew up in Massachusetts, but then after college, was gone for about 20 years.
Oh, okay.
Mostly up and down the East Coast.
East Coast,
from Maine to Connecticut to D.C. and other places in Virginia and Florida and then back. And so I was really happy to be back. I mean, it was fun. It was an interesting...
sure, yeah.
But I'm happy to be back in Massachusetts, and I love Marshfield.
Yeah, well, that's how you get to that change of scope, the impressions from other areas to affect
do.
your artwork. So,
and you
it
meet
makes
a lot
a
of
difference.
interesting people along the way.
Very true.
That helped me, and so it's been really nice.
Yeah.
Did you study painting in college?
Yep, I did. I went to Westfield State University and majored in art, and then I went to a time abroad over in England at Trent University, and that was a crazy art school. And then years later, went back to school at Salve Regina.
Okay.
So a little bit of that, but then I started off as a graphic designer for about 8 or 9 years.
Yes, yeah.
And then,
That's what I was
like
originally
as
going to
many
school
people,
for,
right? Because you're like, how are you going to make a living as an
Yep.
artist? As your parents would say to you, or I don't know, mine, or.
The great thing is I can identify all these fonts now, and that's what's really important.
Well, yeah, I guess
That's what
I guess I could still identify a few, yeah.
But it does. Art layout, design, structure, placements, things like that.
It does give you an element of that design piece, I think, too. And I loved doing it.
Oh, yeah, it's a great time. It's just, unfortunately, when I was going up for it, it was that change over from analog to digital. Going from a dark room to doing everything with scans and photographs on a computer right to it,
Yeah.
That time between floppy disk and CD.
Oh, same.
So it was a very different time, and nobody kind of knew where it was going yet. So they couldn't really structure or plan you out for a future yet. They didn't know, but they didn't tell you that, of course. So every place I went to was either very old school or so new school I had no idea what was going on. Luckily framing came into my life, so I can put that art history background into use too. So it works.
Yeah, in fact, I did a little stint as framing too for a long time
Really?
ago.
Where did you do your framing?
It was at the Torpedo Factory in Alexandria, Virginia.
Oh, cool.
And I went around because I knew I think I was still a graphic designer then. Yeah, I was. And I knew I wanted to be an artist, so I was painting a little bit here and there, and I was just trying to figure out how the heck am I going to get into this whole thing. And I went around literally knocking on all the artist stores, like, do you need an assistant that will, but you're going to pay me, right?
Right, yeah.
I like the name, the Torpedo Factory.
Yeah, was it done by the Naval Yards?
It must have been. I don't remember.
I just know that Virginia has some naval yards and things. And that's why torpedoes make sense for,
it was an old factory.
Yeah.
But
Then that makes sense too.
Yeah, that made torpedoes.
They might have been making.
And it's far enough away that we don't have to hold it against you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no direct
competition
competition there. Yeah.
A couple states.
Yeah, it was. And she just had me do some framing and I don't know, other little things.
Did you feel like that helped too, with the presentation of your artwork, having an understanding of that?
Not especially, to be honest with you. it's very strange. I love painting.
Yep.
And I really don't like that's why I love you guys. I
Yep.
love bringing my work here, and you tell me what I should do
Yep.
for the framing.
Sure.
I don't
Well, there's a lot of
really-
different ways. Like
yeah.
the ones you have on display here, you've got them, in floater frames versus, traditional framing setup
Well,
where you
you
don't
know-
lose or cover any of your artwork.
I know. I
So-
think because of those paintings particularly, but a lot of my work, I feel like I go to the very end.
Very true, yeah,
And it's
you
very every
utilize
little
every aspect
part
of the
is
canvas.
important. So
Yeah.
I can't really have anything covering it. So that's why.
But
the
they also
photo
make your
frames
pieces
work.
feel more open. They don't have a defined edge, so it looks like it's part of the room. It doesn't feel constrained or constricted, so it's nice.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you. Well, you guys are amazing with everything that you do.
Yeah, the ones you have, the ones we got behind us, they're all the interior shots.
Yeah, those are all, I love, that's really my jam,
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
to say. I love doing interiors. That's
Oh,
my
yeah.
favorite thing to paint. But I paint everything. I paint landscapes and I paint still lifes and figurative work. And
Are these ones on location, or are these like,
no,
are they memory, imagining things, or are you?
A little bit of everything. So basically, because I was raising 3 kids, so I wasn't going to be able to go. Sorry, kids,
Yeah.
I'm going to just go paint for a while.
Yeah.
See you later.
I got to go on location
yeah.
and not be here. So yeah, exactly.
But I would just take a ton of photographs at a place that inspired me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would come back to the studio and just kind of figure out. But I'd have memories of them, of what
Yeah.
I was seeing.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And I never, hardly ever anyway, followed what the colors were that I saw. So those were kind of out in my own head.
Yeah, you developed a palette based on what
Mm-hmm.
you thought would work well with your lighting and colors. 'Cause, I hadn't been as familiar with your work up until now, just a few pieces that I've seen you bring in, but like your actual portfolio of pieces. I went on the site earlier today to familiarize myself with it, and in your interior sections here, I love the theme of it. They all have a very lived-in look. They don't look like they're, a staged area of like a furniture store or a housing that's about to be sold for someone. They feel lived in, and I really like that kind of difference in that, and the dramatic lighting you have. Light and shadow in all the pieces, it feels like a living room. So
Thank you. Yeah, I love actually an underlying theme for I think almost all my work is the tension between chaos and tranquility.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kind of for most paintings kind of comes across, but also it's about sort of taking that moment to reflect and
sure.
pay attention to that. So that's kind of another aspect a lot of.
But I feel this is how people's homes typically can be most times, so they would feel more of a connection to something that like I said, doesn't look like it's in a museum, like a stationary still life, like it's living, it's breathing, that kind of design. That's what I like about it on these ones. And like I said, these dramatic light and shadow pieces that you have going across definitely change your pigmentation of like this mostly blue scale kitchen area, except for where the light comes across and you get these pale green hues. It's really nice.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I love light. That's as many artists do. It's so much about the light.
Yeah, light and shadow seems to be really prevalent in most of your paintings that I've seen too.
Yeah.
Like it's even in your differences in your landscape, where you go from some very detailed pieces to some that are more, simple designs. You compensate that with dramatic shadow and lightings, which I think really again makes the painting become interesting and alive. So.
Yeah, thanks. I can just be stopped still all the time looking at light fall across anything, honestly.
The landscapes you do, we've been doing a lot of those for you.
Yeah, the little ones, yeah.
Now, is that the landscapes, do you try to keep those on a small scale, or is that for by design? Is that what the
That's a good question. Well,
opposed to like some of these, obviously some of the bigger interior
Yeah.
shots, or those more done because those are going to move?
a combination of reasons. I've been doing some plein air painting.
Oh yes.
So I'm not, I don't want to bring anything huge when I do that. So that's part of that.
Yeah.
We used to sell a ton of like 9x12 gallery frames, just because that was like the perfect size to fit in these like those plein air.
The little
easels.
carry along
Yes.
wooden easel setups that you could. There was also the tripod.
It's funny what
it
like
was-
dictates that, like how the size works.
Yeah,
So
travel.
the smaller ones are more because it's easier to paint on location.
They're
with them.
easier for that. They're if I'm trying to figure out something, I like the small ones. I've been kind of exploring with a few different kind of styles, I think, so those work well for that. There's also a practicality too of
sure.
certain, like I'm a member of the Copley Society of Art, and they always have a small work show.
Yep.
So it can only be so big.
Right.
And so, and also not everyone has the space or
Yep.
whatnot for those sorts of things.
Even if you were painting something that was on a larger scale, trying to get something complete all in one sitting to like see your light and see how it plays on an area, you may have to come back a couple times for something that's that big, and then your light's not the same depending on
I know.
weather, time of year, and all kinds of other things. So the smaller one, I'm sure, affords you more times to get a piece finished, if not almost completely finished, before having to worry about that as
that
much.
light moves so fast.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm not really, there's people
Especially
out
this
there
time
that
of
do
year.
this so much better than I do, but yeah, it's a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
I think it's really hard. I'm more of a studio painter. I like being in the studio and then
Yeah.
slowly taking my time.
Yeah. Well, you have a controlled environment. You have the ability to work at your own leisure with that and things like you said, out in the field. It's like, 5 minutes later, all of a sudden, it's the weather
yeah.
around here in New England.
Oh, yeah. It's just...
Went from a nice sunny day to blustery and rainy in half a second, but especially on the coast.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
But I
So
think
many
my favorite
conditions
one.
out there.
I love the lily pad.
Oh,
The lily pads
thanks.
here with this nice blue purple water here and all that. Just the color that pops off of that one is very dramatic.
Thanks.
So
That was from, I had an art residency. I was awarded this residency through the Copley Society of Art to live and work down in P-Town at the Fine Art Work Center.
oh, okay.
And it was honestly one of the most amazing experiences of my whole
kidding.
life. So I was there for a whole month, and
Oh, wow,
I
yeah.
would bike ride every day, and so I would bike ride by these lily pads. So I didn't take my easel over there, but I did I had lots of photographs and lots of visual memory
Oh,
of
sure,
the
yeah.
experience. So I did some paintings from that whole experience of being there.
In the summertime?
It was I feel like it was the last week in August and into September.
Yeah, it's a nice time to
It
be
was
down
really
there.
great, yeah. And then I also had one at the in the Dune Shacks.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of the Dune Shacks down at the in
Yeah,
P-Town?
is that there were rows of them? Is that
No,
or
they're
what am I-
actually in the dunes. So
Okay.
there's these literal shacks that are maybe, I don't know, 9 feet by 10 feet
So
or
a
something
little bit bigger than a
that.
shed, huh?
Yeah, yeah, and then you have no running water, no
Oh, God,
electricity,
yeah.
no heat, and it was I just had 2 weeks to just live
No
there,
kidding.
and the shacks are very far away from each other. It's not like you see them.
They're isolated, yeah.
Yeah,
so they're
and
not-
so but
yeah.
you're on a big dune.
Oh, that's cool.
And then the ocean is right there.
No kidding.
And
So
it's-
that makes for great subject matter, I imagine, to
It
paint.
was just that was another really great experience. It was just so cool and just very quiet and contemplative,
Yep.
and you're off the grid and
Yeah, no
Yeah.
distractions from.
Did you know
Yeah.
anyone down there so you get to get some running water, get a shower?
no, they have I know.
Or did you just go full on hippie mode?
Yeah, I just braided my hair.
Yeah.
No, they had little those little bags that you heat up through the sun.
Oh yeah,
The
solar bags. Yeah.
So you would find a place that wasn't windy around the shack outside, and you would just run. I learned to do it really quickly. I figured out how did I figure out? There was a method I figured out that was the best way so you could stay sort of warm and go really fast and then run back in.
Before that coastal
Yeah,
breeze hit
yes.
you, yeah.
That's like a legit outdoor shower.
Express
yeah.
dry.
Not like these new outdoor showers.
No,
no,
yeah.
And it was and they had really honestly the cutest outhouse you'd ever. It was really adorable. I'm like, oh, this is not so bad.
That's funny.
So yeah, it was just. So I did shower,
Yeah,
and they did have a pump, a water pump.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah.
So old school, yeah,
So,
from a well, yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. It was.
No,
it
that
was
sounds
good.
like-
But I'm sure that's
How long
that
ago
experience
was
has
that?
got to be different. So
I think that was 5 years ago.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I want to go back. I just loved that.
And how did you end up getting asked to do that?
That was through. I had to apply for it, and I should know this.
Oh, the pressure of being on the spot. It was the Outer Cape Artists Residency Consortium that had granted her time to stay at the P-Town Shacks.
But it was a great organization, and
Yeah.
it was. I did a lot of paintings from both of those residencies.
Oh,
They
yeah.
were great.
We got to talk about these still lives.
The still lives. Which
Yeah.
one, what do we got?
The bowls of cereal.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's where I was going because
Because
the bowls of cereal is
that is
some
an
of the
interesting
first
setup.
some of the first stuff that I'd seen of yours, and I think that I'm trying to remember because that was a show at Duxbury, right? You had the art complex. Was
Maybe.
I feel like I remember seeing some there.
At the Art Complex Museum, probably did
And-
something there, and then probably at North River
Yeah,
Art
and I
Society.
remember because I hung a show at North River, and I remember like I remember I feel like I'd seen like some from the series in Duxbury, and then I remember hanging them, and they were up on the stage. And I can't remember if it was on the far left or if it was in the
It was
center, dead center.
I remember.
It was a dead center.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was such like a
great
strong.
job, by the way.
It was like such a strong piece. So because I've hung the festival show for them for a number of years now, and I don't know if you remember when those were in Marshfield. It goes back at least that far.
Yeah.
But I remember, it was such a strong piece that me and Michael, who helps me with it, it had to be up on the stage, and it had, dead center sounds right because it was just like such a strong piece.
Yeah. Well, I love doing those. Those were all inspired by my mom because I was really close to her. She passed away 18 years ago now.
Oh wow, yeah.
And we were just so close, and so I knew that I wanted to do some sort of homage to her after she died. And while she was still alive, we had a thing about like if something happens to one of us, we will leave shells on each other's beds if there's a way to
That's
do
where
that
that comes from. Okay.
yeah, to allow the other person to let them know that they're okay from the afterlife if there's some way to do something like that.
There you go.
So I ended up getting my sign, which is a long story, which I won't go into, but it was really cool. And so I thought I was going to do these paintings of shells and make them sort of ethereal. And I did a couple of them, but they weren't kind of working out the way I thought. And then I don't know what happened, but for some reason I ended up doing this big bowl of Cheerios. It was a big painting.
Yeah,
And
I feel like they were like 30.
yeah, most of them
30s
are pretty
like,
big. Yeah,
So they are large scale.
most of them are.
So
Some are
that's-
small. All the small ones, almost all of them, I think, are gone. But I did a large one of Cheerios, and my mother had a thing for pretty linens, so there's always these sort of backgrounds. And then she could.
That's my favorite one. It's the multigrain Cheerios with the paisley
Yeah,
background.
yeah.
It's fantastic.
She could only eat Cheerios at the end because she had cancer,
Mm-hmm.
and she drank tea. So a lot of them are tea, but some are coffee.
There's
and
our little
juice
shell
and
right
stuff.
there. Yeah.
And there's always shells in them.
Yeah.
And then what happened was this girl was being interviewed. She was like 9 years old, and she was being asked. Her mom was sick, and she was dying, and so before she, died, they took some really great trips. She said, so she was asked, look, what was your favorite time with your mom? And she said, well, we went to Disney World and we went to Europe, and that was really
wow.
great. And she said, but my favorite time was, she used to get up at 2:00 in the morning and go downstairs and have Cheerios. And so she said, Mom, will you wake me up next time? And they went down and they had their Cheerios. And she said, that was really my
Yeah,
favorite
it's funny
time.
how those little things stick with you,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
So that was like the light bulb thing for me, and then the
Yeah.
whole series came from that because I said, oh yeah,
Yeah, they're fantastic.
these moments are really important. That's why they're really blown up and in your face, and
But I
and-
love it. It's such a, like I said, it's a simple and wholesome idea to have a painting of a bowl of cereal.
Yeah.
But then you've got like all this hyper detail with these, like you said, fine linen cloths, and just even some of the plates have some detailing in them that have like the blends of a ceramic glaze or something along those that just kind of, again, speak to home. I think my other favorite one here is just one of the tricks with the amethyst glass that you've got here refracting the light.
yeah.
Like that is fantastic. Again, these are just something that people can relate to. It's something people have seen, so it's not pieces of home.
It's so interesting that you bring that up because I agree. I think that's the thing. I feel like, most of us anyway grew up eating cereal.
Mm-hmm.
And then as parents, we,
Start to ditch
we give
them,
we give our kids cereal.
Yeah.
And then, it is kind of a universal thing. I mean, of course, it depends on what culture you come from, I'm sure. But,
Oh, sure.
But it is like, it's pretty universal no
Yeah.
matter where
Yeah.
you are. You
I can
know?
identify every
So-
single one of those
Right.
cereals.
Yeah.
But then you've also got these ones of like the mussels, the clams, they're and the croissant. They're just, like I said, all stuff that people, like I said, can feel a connection to or have something that might invoke a memory of. Like you said, something as simple as going downstairs at 2 a.m. for a bowl of cereal. Yeah, it's very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a cool series, and like I said, I distinctly remember them all being big, but there was you did some smaller one. There was some of those are smaller scale.
Yeah, I did some that were 12 by 12s.
Yeah.
I think I have
All squares, though.
all
right?
square. Yeah, they're
I mean,
always
it's
square.
Perfect fit for.
Yeah, it's a nice
Yeah.
profile.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was I think the first, that's how I first saw your work, and then I think you were doing something at the VNA, or was it
At the Cancer
it's
Support Community?
Cancer supports. Yeah, that's in the same
Yeah.
building, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
is that how you started work? Do you do work with different cancer groups and things like that, or?
Well, so as an artist, artists have to usually wear a couple hats in the world.
Sure, very
because,
true. Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Tech support.
I know, yeah. So I was, I feel really fortunate that I've been able to stay in the art world,
Yeah.
and keep, doing just
What you
being
like
creative,
to do,
right?
yeah.
So I teach oil painting.
Yes, I see.
And then I have an expressive arts practice, so that's like another aspect of things, which is sort of a therapeutic process. So
Nice.
I work with a lot of different communities. So one is the cancer support community that I worked with. I worked with at-risk teens.
Oh, that's another great one. Yeah.
Gosh, I'm gonna forget. Palliative care kids and their families. Bereavement, and then just regular folks that are just trying to figure out some stuff,
Yeah.
and or just self-discovery
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
What's the expressive arts? Like, how does one get it? Like,
In that,
Yeah.
Well, interestingly enough, I have a friend who's a writer who was going back to school at Salve Regina for this program, and she was explaining it to me, I was like, and I think I believe it or it's so, I don't know how to explain this, but even teaching, I feel like I was doing expressive arts with my students, but I didn't know I was doing it because I'm such a touchy-feely person, and I'm like, oh, but there's feelings that can be created through paintings and whatnot. So it was just kind of a weird kind of segue into all that. And then when she was telling me about the program, I'm like, wait, what are you doing? There's a whole career out there doing this stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So can I go to school with you?
yeah. So expressive art is kind of it's a form of therapy, right?
Yeah, it's a therapeutic. It's like I act like a midwife kind of, and so what I do is sort of help you to discover what it is that you need to figure out. So I give you tools and. Through a series of different exercises, like 4 different modalities. So there's, I don't even call it art because you don't have to be an artist. It's just image making, simple writing exercises, movement and sound.
Yeah.
So, through those things, and then I sort of try to figure out a program that's good for whatever, community I'm working with, or for that individual, what might be appropriate to help facilitate them to figure out what they need to, or not to feel like, or like for people that have cancer, to figure out how not to feel so lonely or sad or angry,
Isolated,
or all the things that kind of can sometimes come with that.
Oh yeah.
So
It cascades very quickly. Sometimes, how fast it all hits you all like a ton of bricks. So. Yeah, art's a great expression for that.
It is.
Yeah.
It's such a.
That's how I got into it. I started doing Saturday art classes at a local watercolor place after my father passed. That was a way to, like I said, just as a way to get that kind of, thing going. And then after that, it's like I forgot that's the whole reason I was there. I was just there for because I was enjoying it and stuff. So it's a great segue. It might unlock something. We had a lot of people during COVID who were stuck at home or isolated and had nothing to do or nowhere to go, and found out that they could draw, they could paint, they could write books. And we had so many new people come in that had never been here before, and we got to meet so many new people and I'm like, oh, you've been doing this for a long time? No, this is my second painting. And I'm like, what? Yeah. Well, I watched a YouTube video. I'm like, oh, YouTube's a savior for that kind of thing. They show you how to do everything.
Yeah.
But it was a nice, like I said, it's an outlet, a way to get those things out. So that's a great thing that you're doing there. So.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I
Yeah,
love it.
Solving problems and making art, solving problems, helping people.
Figuring it out,
Yeah.
and and I do it on myself too. Like I'm not, I have stuff that I'm going like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? Like, or I'm getting crazy, and so I'll just sit down and do one of my own exercises.
Exactly.
No kidding.
But now you know the steps to do it, so
Right.
it's like you don't have to like
Well, that's the
fumble
thing.
through it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. So I try to like teach people like you can do this.
Yeah.
You know?
And there was like an actual structured class to teach you how
Oh
to
yeah,
do it.
it was like it was like it took me. Well, I mean, I guess you probably could do it. It was an intensive program, so
Yeah.
it was on weekends, and you went all weekend, and
Yeah.
then you had all this homework to do, and
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think
fully
it took me
certified
like
and yeah.
it took me, I have like a CAGS
No kidding.
from doing it, so it was. I think it took me like 5 years or 3 or 5 years to
No
go
kidding.
through the whole thing. Yeah, because I just did a little bit at a time. Because again, you're working and kids and
yeah, slow.
and it was really
process.
intensive. I mean, I had 2 hours of homework every day,
No kidding.
yeah.
at least. Yeah,
Back in school.
yeah. So
No kidding. Yeah, I felt like when I used to paint, I did it. I did it as like a stress reliever. But that was again with the. I think I also mixed that with like having a couple drinks to like unwind. But
Yeah.
But it did do the trick.
Yeah.
Like that was how I started with when I painted. But I didn't have any formal, probably a formal class would, help solve or bring some of my problems to light.
We're all trying to figure out stuff,
what's
Dave.
wrong with
We're
It's
it.
a natural. It's naturally talented and set up for it. So
That's funny. But so the cereal bowls, are you still going back to any of those, or is
Well,
that kind of? Do you kind
there's
of
always new cereals coming out.
you-
So I'm just saying you can just.
Do you kind of close the chapter on like?
I haven't, it's kind of interesting. I haven't done them for quite some time. But I keep thinking that I want to go back. Like, I don't feel like I'm totally finished with it.
Yeah.
And maybe that's part of, like, I don't like the
Oatmeal, maybe?
And yeah, maybe oatmeal, yeah. But I haven't done it for a long time because I've just been I've got so many ideas in my head that I'll never
sure.
live long enough to
Once
get them all
you get
out.
everything out on paper, yeah,
So,
it's very tough.
Yeah,
But.
it's a hard thing to get everything.
Yeah, well, I mean, the palette's fantastic. I mean, they're very, similar in palette across the board. They remind me of almost like colors that you would see in like a Norman Rockwell. Like those slightly subdued tones that are just kind of, there's a brightness to it, even with them being, toned down, which I really like. Like I said, the amethyst glass, the reflection of light. I can speak. Like I said, it really just kind of brings it up. But also these vibrant reds you've got under some of these ones, they just really kind of pop against the white bowl. I mean, you can do so many different variations, and you could put them still all together on a wall, and it would almost have like the way they're set up on the screen right now, it's very almost like patchwork quilt looking to me, like how it's like those little squares.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Did you get commissions for the cereals? Anyone ask for a special
I don't
request?
think I had a commission for a cereal, but I would take one.
Yeah.
It'd be a fun
Listeners.
way to get back into it.
A lot of the paintings you do are most on spec, or do you do a fair amount of commission work too?
I feel like commissions seem to come in waves for
Yeah.
me. Like I shouldn't say that. So I've usually had at least a couple, a few a year or something like that. Right now, I've had a ton, and I've really mostly been working on commissions for the past couple of years, which is, great.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's
Does it tie
tricky.
your hands
Well,
how you want to express yourself artistically, or is that?
I'm really careful about what I take on for commissions because I really explain to everyone that, and I don't mean for this to sound, but
Yeah, but you want to paint. You want to do it. What you want? How you want to do it.
I feel like it's a leap of faith. They're taking a leap. They like my work, so
Yeah.
they're commissioning me to do something. but they're not going to get to see like the process of it or
Yeah.
in between, and they just kind of see it at the end. And
They're not dictating that there's gonna be like we're gonna have this blue blanket over
right.
here.
I mean, I work with them a lot. I'll sit
Yep.
down and I interview kind of everyone in the family, because a lot of my commissions tend to be family oriented, like, fit with figures. And
Yes.
I try to get an idea of what they like to do as a family, or that person likes to do,
Yes.
and incorporate that into the painting
Yeah, there's
somehow.
some music. There's a lot of
Yeah.
family. There's a lot of family in here. I see.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of groups together. But I also love the angle in your shots too. It almost reminds me of the view of a security camera from that angle, that high,
Yeah.
above what normal people would see, and looking down on a group. I really kind of like that look on it too.
Because she's tall.
I know. I think that is
That's her
part of
regular
it.
perspective, right?
It's like wanting to be tall.
But it really does affect how the picture looks, and it allows you to compass more of the rooms, I think, from these settings that I see, versus a straight-on shot. Everything's going to be blocked by tables, couches, anything else. From above, you can see.
Well, I like that because it's like, to me, it's like looking at a big puzzle, and you're trying to
Yes.
figure out, like, I like a lot of the stuff. I like the kind of the chaos, kind of, in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So I tend to like that angle a lot, and I think it's interesting too.
Yeah.
To look at things from that angle rather than just straight.
Again, it's how we see it every day. See it from get
Right.
a new perspective.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's a new way to see the same thing you see every day, which is nice. So.
Yeah. Thanks.
And you have a lot of you have some bunch of stuff in some pretty well known collectors, or some pretty famous people have some work of yours.
Thanks.
Is there any
Steve.
good? Is there any good stories as to how they
Name
acquired
drop.
them?
Well, let's see.
'Cause you told me about Bruce Hornsby, like questioning whether or not I've ever heard of it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Did you get to?
I just
Did
saw him
you
concert.
meet him too?
I
or-
did get to meet him. He called me one day, and it was like I practically I was like floored. So yeah, he just called one day and he said, "Hello, this is Bruce Hornsby," and I acted like I can't even believe it. I was like,
yeah.
"Oh, hello, Bruce Hornsby."
Yeah.
I just said
We're
that.
on a first
like-
name basis.
like-
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
guy
was
who played
kinda
with the
crazy.
dead.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah. So they've been actually they bought a lot of my work, and
kidding.
so I did get to meet. He and his wife has been just amazingly supportive of me, and she's an artist in her own right. She's a photographer and
Oh, nice.
a painter, and so she has stuff on Instagram,
Yeah.
and it's kind of fun. We have a little comments here and there with different things, and
Was
We've
that
actually
is that recent, or was that when you were up and down the East Coast?
yeah, that
What-
was when I lived in Williamsburg, Virginia.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I was exhibiting there, and I had work at the Hampton Arts Center. No, Charles H. Arts Center. That's what it was called. And the guy, Michael Curry, who was running it at the time, was like just amazingly wonderful to me. And he went to Trent University in England, so the same school that I went
no
to.
kidding.
Oh, so there you go.
we
Nice
had like this
tie-in.
little
Yeah,
connection, and
exactly,
so he was just great, and he just really promoted me. And I think he went around telling people, "She's gonna be famous."
Yeah,
So I think people I don't know what happened, but
It
people
got back
just
to the right people.
Yeah,
That's what's important.
and people just were buying the work. Yeah.
that's great. I mean, and do they still support you?
Yeah.
You still have a good connection.
Yeah,
with them?
we're they haven't bought anything for a while, but
Well,
but-
we'll blast this on Instagram with some of his music in the background.
Hashtag,
Try to stir something up. But no, that's great, because I know you had mentioned that we were talking earlier before we started rolling about the I was saying that I think people like to know who's who the artist is when they're buying the work, but you said you also like to know where the pieces end up,
Oh,
because
I
they're
love
so
that.
important.
Yeah, I love knowing, and that's the hard thing too sometimes, because the world's sort of changing a little bit. But galleries used to let you know, like, where
Oh,
the
yeah,
work
yeah,
went.
exactly,
And
yeah.
I really liked that, because I really liked writing a thank you to them, and
Yeah.
I wasn't like I know that galleries have a tough gig there with different artists and stuff. So I can understand
Yeah,
why
when
they do
they
that.
probably keep a separation so they don't think you're
Right, but I would like
working around
never
them.
do that because
Yeah.
it just you're
True, yeah.
biting your own hand. I mean, when you do that stuff. So
Yeah.
but I would love to write them a thank you, just to say,
Exactly.
and just to have, not like you're looking for like a friend or a relationship, but it's
No.
just a nice connection. It's nice to know where the work ended up.
Yeah, it's like a
and-
provenance track, provenance. You know where the art
and
went,
that
where it
too.
ended
Yeah,
up, and
yeah,
what
yeah.
family it's with at that point.
Yeah.
And later
Yeah.
on, when you're
Yeah.
in the Art History Hall of Fame, they can track all your artwork back to whoever it went to, and you'll be fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
But
so,
it is funny how, again, you do become connected to your artwork after a while, and especially with all the hours you put into a piece. It's almost like, not to say that it's a kid, but you want to know where it ended up, because you
Yeah.
don't want it just sitting in somebody's closet,
Yeah.
collecting dust wrapped in a linen
you hope
cloth.
not.
And, exactly.
It probably happens sometimes, but
But hopefully it's out on display, and people are talking about it, and
Yeah.
Well, it's the best form of advertising, too,
Exactly.
right? Like if it's, you have something hanging on somebody's wall, and and they know who you are, and
Yeah.
someone comments on it. I mean, I feel that way about the frames that we put out. It's like
I bet.
you want, that's
Well, you
essential-
you're enhancing the artwork.
Yeah,
right?
but if somebody's like, oh, that I had that framed at the frame center or something like that, it adds. It's like it's almost like a billboard ad in
Yeah.
Oh,
people's homes.
absolutely,
But I mean the same
absolutely.
thing with the artwork.
Yeah, I know. I remember I had this one gentleman who commissioned me for a piece. He was building a beach house, and I thought it was the coolest idea. He commissioned all these artists to do portraits of people in his family, like even some extended family,
Yeah.
and even some like really close friends and things. And he was just gonna that was how he was gonna decorate his whole
Nice.
house.
That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Which was, I thought,
Different
was,
styles.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Did you see it as like a?
No, I didn't get invited to the beach house. I got invited to his other house, but not that one. But
It's
was
the shack on the dune.
yeah, I know. But it was interesting because it was a big painting. It was like 48 inches by 36 inches. And I got his son to do, who was like maybe 33 at the time or something. And I did the painting, and I explained how, it's not a portrait. I don't really do portraits. It's more like an environmental sort of portrait of the person that I'm capturing a stance. And it's not like the face is going to be like smiling and looking,
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not going to be really about that. It's
Photorealistic.
Right.
Yeah.
So I brought it to him, and when he saw it, he didn't like it.
Oh, really?
And I was like, oh my God, I was devastated. And it was, it was a little earlier in my career, and I just at that time I didn't know what to do, and I just said, well, you don't have to take it. I'll just take it home, and that's okay. Bye. I'll see you later. Bye. And then he said, well, no, hold on. Let me hold on to it for a little bit. Let me hang it. Let me just see. Let me, live with
Adjust
it for a
to
bit.
it. Yeah. Become part of it.
Yeah.
Grow on them?
And then it was really nice. So I hadn't heard from him for like 3 months, and then I think he called me, and then he said, actually, that's like my favorite painting of all the paintings that I did. And he said, and everyone that comes in here, so when you were talking about it being hung in good advertisement,
Yep.
he said everyone is drawn to that painting more than anyone else's painting. So it was very, I was very flattered and relieved.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Word of mouth is the best form of advertising. You trust somebody more than a 2-minute ad on a TV, so it's great.
Yeah.
But like you said, if it wasn't exactly what he was expecting or thinking of, like you were saying, like because you don't do the photorealistic,
Right.
he may have been thinking, and then, but instead of it being an actual image of the person, it's the action of a person, or like you said, the
It
mannerism,
is.
the setup of the positioning, a way they always stand, or
Yeah.
maybe a hat they always wore, or something along those lines. That's
Yeah, I'm sure it could probably grow. I mean, I've paintings that I've seen and that I've grown to like, or ones that I initially didn't like.
Yeah.
At first, and then I kind of examine them and think about it for for
Yeah.
longer, and then somebody like I had one of my own paintings that I had it as a horizontal, and I'd given it to my wife, and she hung it as a vertical, and it kind of just the shift in perspective, it just changed it, and not that I didn't like it before, because I really liked the painting, but it was just like I turned like in a different direction. It just changed how I saw it, and liked it better that way.
Yeah.
Came alive.
Yeah. But I'm sure that like that sort of thing, like seeing paintings over and over, and like just picking up, maybe the first instinct is not what you expected, like Scott said, and then as you see it and hang it, and sometimes when people aren't. They're unsure when they bring something, when they pick something up, just bring it home and take a look at it for a little while and make sure you're sure you don't like it,
Can't tell you how often we have to say that to someone when they come with this. It's not exactly how I was picturing it when, when we're looking at the corner. And, of course, it's usually a 4-inch corner we're showing on something that's 4 feet long.
Yeah,
it's kind of
so
hard to get an idea.
Yeah.
But we say, take it home, see how you like it. If you're not happy with it, please bring it back. We don't want you to not be happy with your artwork, but it may just be the lighting here at the store is far brighter than anything you're going to have at home.
Right.
Maybe the lighting situation, things that are around it will help bring it together, When it's that first piece of something you put on a wall in your brand new home and you put up the art and you don't have any couch, books, shelves, anything up there to kind of go along with it, it can be kind of jarring and sharp, but add the other little comfort elements in along with it and it kind of comes together. So
Yeah, I know. It's true. And also, for me anyway, I've learned through the years. You keep learning, of course, with all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm like so adamant. In fact, the last commission I was just doing, the last several that I've been doing, I'm like so like I keep saying it, like it might be, there might be a quarter of the face, it might be this, you're not gonna, like, I'm like so adamant about all what it is, and work with them too if they have certain colors, that they're kind of, so it's not like it's totally, I will not deal with, it's my painting.
Yeah.
But and finally he said, because I think I said it like 3 times at different times, he's like, I got it, I know, Laura, it's okay, I trust you.
I understand.
But I'm so worried. So, yeah.
Bruce Hornsby wasn't as difficult as this other character.
No, well, this was, that wasn't a commission. They just bought stuff that they liked, which was great.
Yeah.
And this guy, actually, after he did that, he commissioned me for another painting. So it was kind of, it all worked out. And that went well. I was like, phew.
That's great.
Yeah, I know. It was great.
And then some of your other collectors. I know you mentioned you had some stuff hanging alongside Claude's over in Harvard. You have some stuff in the collection there.
Yeah,
how did that come to be?
They commissioned me for a painting.
That was a commission.
Yep, the Graduate School of Education commissioned me, and then they have it there, and then so it's there in their, I don't know, their building or whatever, and then it will be eventually go to the Fogg Museum. So that's kind of cool.
Is that a recent one?
That was I'm horrible with dates and times, but that was a while ago, like maybe 10 years ago or 12 years ago or something, or
And so when like an institution commissions you, I mean, who is it? You dealing with like one person from there that's like that's telling you what they want, and
and then I'll go out and take a bunch of photographs, and we had some models that came in for that particular piece. Then I actually approached the Harvard Coop. The Harvard Coop. That's it's the store that's there that sells the books.
I've heard of it.
It's right there. And when I was little, we used to go there for Christmas and save our allowance. And I was the oldest of 4. We would get marched in there. We buy our pencils for everyone, and a print. They were known for their prints in those days.
Oh, very cool. Yeah.
But my grandfather went to Harvard, so we had like a sort of a special kind of thing about it, and so I approached them to see if I could do a couple paintings and make prints of them, and they would sell them there.
Nice.
So that was a different painting. But
were they the paintings of the Harvard Yard, or were they?
Yeah. Actually, that's one of them. Yep. And there's another one.
And then
too.
the Memorial Church Pathways. I love that one.
Yeah.
That almost feels like you could be walking along it.
Yeah. So those were really fun to do.
And they're all oil and linen. Is that what you typically work in, as oils?
It is. I love linen, and I like panel too a lot. But panel I do small.
Right.
Not so large. Yeah.
They tend to warp at bigger sizes.
Yeah,
anyway.
They do. Yeah. Do you run into that a lot?
Yeah. Used to.
Yeah.
So that's why I ended up sticking with stretchered pieces, just to eliminate that. So like you said, they're good for small pieces though, and for small squares, 8x10, 9x12, things like that. much easier to store too.
Yes, I know. There's a lot of good reasons to do the panel. Plus, just the smoothness of them, I love.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like smooth.
So any other notable ones that you have some stuff of yours hanging on the wall? I don't have anything of yours yet, Laura.
Yeah, we have
Keyword
to work
there,
on
yeah.
that, right?
I've seen a couple on your on your Facebook stuff that I have liked a lot, but I'm gonna have to see everything in a group
You just can come
next
by
time you have a show. Or
Yeah,
something.
come by for a studio visit.
Do you have
We'll
a
just
lot?
pull
Do you
out
have
stuff.
do you have a lot of stuff in the studio? Or?
Yeah, I've got a decent amount of work that's still hanging around.
Nice.
And,
Yeah, because I know you have a fair amount of you're represented by quite a few people. Or
Yeah, I've got I'm a member of the Copley Society of Art, so they always have a small work show,
Yeah.
which I usually have something in. I try to anyway,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes I'm in a juried show there. And actually, that was just in a group show there in May, I think it was. Or March, maybe, or I don't know. I'm again horrible
Yeah,
with
March
times.
like a year
Oh, no, yeah, it wasn't even. No, actually, it's wrong.
10 months
I
right
think
now,
it was
yeah.
September. I have no
okay.
idea. I can't remember when it was.
I think we're coming up on
confused
6
there.
months at that point now,
Yeah,
so that's all right.
I'm really
That's-
bad with time.
With time and dates,
Yes, I have no idea, but it was this year. It was within a year,
yeah,
and
that's recent.
yeah, that's pretty recent. And then the Woodman Shimko Gallery in P-Town represents me, and they are kind of seasonal. Like they're open all summer, and then they stay open till the end of October, and then they kind of do weekends until Christmas time, and then they kind of do when they feel like it.
Yeah, it kicks in back in around May, right? I think
Yeah, they
that's what I
kick
saw
in
around
around.
there.
Yeah. So I've got there, and then I've got Elizabeth Moss Gallery up in Maine, in Falmouth, Maine, and I feel like I'm missing some.
That's a nice stretch, though, right? Like, so you
Yeah.
get to go up there and
Yeah, it's nice. Right now I've been having a hard time, honestly, keeping up with the gallery, just because of the commission load right now.
You got the one in Nantucket here? Is that
Oh.
the-
Yeah, and that one actually that is a great gallery, but they really want me to do some landscapes.
Oh, okay.
So right now I don't have anything, and you need more time.
You'll have your
Just
cereal
need
and
more
you'll like it.
yeah, and people can see they can see a lot of your stuff on Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah.
Do you use that pretty?
Instagram more than Facebook because I
Yep.
feel like Instagram is sort of lends itself that way a little bit
yeah,
more.
absolutely.
I always feel it's hard for me to do. Like it feels just so promotional doing
Yep.
the Facebook and Instagram.
Well,
stuff.
heck, you've got your own
But-
website. You don't even need
but
that.
website
so, I mean,
is a good place to look at it.
that's how I learned everything today about
Yeah.
you there. So
But Instagram is more like businessy kind of. And,
yeah,
And then I have
what
like
you're currently working on, things along those lines. But
Yeah.
this is a good catalog though of your pieces that
I
you
think,
have.
you know, I
good
mean,
representations of your work.
Yeah.
So
Do you
Thanks.
do you photograph most of the stuff? I mean, do you have a formula for it, or like on Instagram? I mean, if you're most of the work that you do you post, or you just if you're just feeling it that day? Or?
I try to post something at least 2 or 3 times a week.
keep it active.
Yeah, so sometimes it's more interesting than other times. I
Yeah.
think, but
Hey, if just this picture of a simple blank canvas, you're getting ready to start
Yeah,
another,
I know.
something along
I
those
know.
lines, and then
yeah.
but you don't do like time lapse like.
No, I've done
Thanks.
some of
Oh,
those.
have you done
I've
some time-lapse? Yeah.
Yeah, I've done a few of those.
Those can be interesting and just an
yeah.
interesting way to see like
Yeah.
your start to like a midsection or
Yeah,
like
I'll do some
your
process
your
pictures
basic
and
layouts
yeah.
of building up everything. So that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've done some time lapse here with framing, and see,
Yeah, I've seen
you
those.
can actually
They're
you
great.
can actually walk away and come back, and it doesn't really it
I
doesn't
know.
even last.
It only
that,
takes half a second on the screen, which is great, but you may have been gone for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when you do a work, do you focus on one piece, or are you a jumper? Do you jump between multiple projects at the same time, or do you have to finish one before you can move on to something else?
Yes, good question.
Because I have to finish something before I can move on. To
That's my
anything
preference.
else. Yeah.
That is my preference, but it's not always.
I lose my train of thought where I
Do-
was and what I was doing and
yeah,
where my
I'm
mind
just
was
in a
at when I was
zone
doing
with
it.
it,
Exactly.
and I just
yeah.
love like that. I don't know how to explain that bubble that comes over
Uh-huh.
you. So
That
I
pure
love
inspiration.
That.
Yeah.
But it's not always feasible to do,
True.
and also sometimes I don't know, for lots of reasons you're waiting for something to dry,
Oh,
or
God, yeah.
you're
No,
like
oils, you got to be patient. Right?
Uh-huh.
yeah, sometimes, and then I don't know. You can work with different different mediums that can dry a little bit more quickly, and
Yeah, depending on what you like, the different blends that you can put in your oil. So whether you're working pure pigment, or if you're working with things like to thin out the mixes
it's
and
all
things.
different,
So,
and sometimes I have to put something aside because whatever a commission comes into play, or the gallery is waiting for something, or you need to get. I don't know, whatever.
My longest thing is waiting for resin to dry, having to
oh my goodness.
leave it in a place where nothing can touch it, nothing can get at it, nothing even looks at it cross-eyed, or something's going to go wrong with it, and temperature has to be right. You have to have a vent. You have to have. So there's all so many different things with art that you have to rules that you have to follow. It's like watching Gremlins. You have to, no painting after midnight. No, you'll be too tired. You won't remember what you were doing. Things like that. It's just, it's funny on what you have to do to get something to turn out the same way every time for your consistency. The process.
The process, but that's
sure,
the fun part.
Well, Scott will throw up all the things, where you can see your work in person. But we've got the, LauraJennings.com. Is that?
Try-on is a big piece of that. So it's Laura Try-on, like try-on clothes.
Yeah, so it looks like
Laura Try-on Jennings,
LTryonJennings.com is what I got here. But it's a very well-organized website.
Well, thank you. Actually, Lois Wood did that. She was great. She just put that together for me, and she was very encouraging. She's like, "You need big pictures. You need big pictures as you're a painter."
Yeah.
Yep.
And you keep it up to date pretty.
I do a pretty good job keeping it up to date.
Your events tab is really
push it off
pretty
to her
up to date.
Make her do it.
No, actually the whole point of her designing it, because I've had a lot of. I've had a couple of different websites and people that have done it, and I wanted to be able to maintain most of it.
Yep.
Because and so basically it's pretty stagnant in like you're not changing a ton of stuff. You just like the events page I changed. Yeah. That's why I refer everything to the events page, because I only want to deal with one page that I'm.
Well, it's true. I mean, how often you have to update the other stuff?
Right.
It's just like I said, a catalog of your work. But
Yeah,
your
just
events
new
page
pictures,
is going to be
new images of work that you've done, and then the events page is pretty much it. And then update your
the painting right there.
And then you got to update. What was something else? Your
you got fees,
resume.
times, things like that. Yeah.
But I think it functions well. It's easily navigated.
And you've got all your links on this page to all your other stuff, so that's the easiest way to get
TikTok.
Yeah, but she does do.
See,
I mean, she'll add
Facebook,
certain things.
Insta,
Like
Twitter,
she's good. Like she'll do a
LinkedIn,
Pinterest.
Pinterest.
No TikTok?
No TikTok.
Oh, I have no idea. Like, I think it's so amazing, but I have no idea how to do that, and it seems like foreign to me.
Yeah. See, when I first started, I thought it's gonna be another Vine. It's gonna be coming. That's gonna be gone. There's no point learning how to do it. It's still been sticking around at this point. So
Frame Center TikTok.
I've seen you doing so many very cool
we
things.
try to do everything. We're trying to cover all our bases.
You never know who's gonna be watching, or listening.
Well, we're probably, we need to influence the youth too, get people framing young,
Well, like you said with Elizabeth, she hasn't bought any pieces of her original artwork yet, and this is time to start.
There. She's on the fence. She's still got her eyes on a couple of the pieces
from Andy's
show. His show has been very successful.
Maybe she'll have a connection to cereal. We'll show her some.
Maybe we'll bring the social media team by to the gallery or the studio space.
Little walkthrough.
Oh yeah, I'd love that. That'd be great to do.
All right, we're gonna add you to the field trip list.
There we go.
All right. Oh, I love field trips.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. This is one of my resolutions for 2023 is to get out of the store and get on location. To visit places, visit stores. The people that come in here just to kind of get the different perspective.
Yeah.
And bring the social media team around.
I love what you're doing with everything. That you are just so involved in the community and promoting the arts and.
Well, the art,
It's really.
It's kind of fun,
Well, it is, but you have been amazing in all of those ways.
To see so many different varieties of things come through our door, it's the great thing. But again, without you guys coming through our door, we wouldn't be here. So it's important to have you guys,
Thriving art market on the South Shore is,
that is the good thing. We do have a very, a very large pool of artists to see a variety of pieces come through, which may not be present everywhere, but here we got 3 or 4 art societies within a stone's throw of here that we can.
And then every town, I feel like
Yeah.
everyone, there's a ton. Speaking of the South Shore art community, you got some favorite artists on the South Shore that you
Oh,
like
yeah,
to
yeah.
see? Or,
Oh, that I love?
Yeah.
God, there's so... I love living here because there's so many... I love everything. Like, I just think this community is so great with the art.
yeah.
And so many, like, the North River Art Society is
Yep.
so great, and the Duxbury Art Society is so...
Yeah.
just everything. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just really, really good. I haven't
Did you
done
show
anything
at
with South
Cohasset
Shore.
too, or-
I haven't done anything with them. I think during COVID, I started looking into them, and then they weren't doing anything,
Yeah.
and then I kind of got really busy, and so I haven't
Have
picked
you
that up
have you
again.
entered any of their shows?
I haven't. No, I haven't done anything over there. It's
That's a long ride, yeah.
well, yeah. Oh,
If you're in Marshfield,
too much, too much. But I know that they're great. I mean,
No,
I've
the
gone to some of their.
facility is great,
It's
too.
beautiful over there, and I've been to some of the openings and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I love. If I start naming them, I'm going to forget a million people.
know.
But
Yeah.
like there's Sally Dean, and there's
Oh, yeah.
there's Jody Regan, and there's
Jody's fantastic.
Carrie O'Donnell, who
Carrie,
we had
yep.
on here, and
And Jody's. We did the show with Jody.
oh, I love
She
her.
was awesome.
She's
was
our
awesome.
highest
She's-
rated episode.
She's such a
Yeah.
great. Is it really?
Yeah. She let like a handful of people know on Facebook, and the word went out, and all of a sudden there was 150 views on YouTube for her interview. So it was great.
We tried something new with her too, and I went to her show, and we kind of
I
I
saw
walked
that.
that one. I mean, I ended up buying 2 pieces from that show.
Oh,
Like
that's
that was the
great.
greatest part for me was like, I mean, I was there before the show started, and she'd already sold some of the pieces, but there was some like. I get to walk through and talk with I mean, how great is that? Like,
Yeah.
to talk with her, and then like I knew I was gonna buy something when I went. It was yeah. I mean, I'm like this is great.
Question
I'm
is
going
which
down
piece?
to see Jody's show with Jody before the show even
Yeah.
before it opened. So like we went earlier in the day. I'm like, I'm going to get a chance to buy before anybody else.
Yeah.
Kind of like when I used to hang North River. I'd hang the show. And
Yeah.
tell so yeah. I'm like, I'm going to take that one. But yeah, so I ended up buying one of. It was actually of North River. It was like the it's.
cool.
Have you seen that show of hers?
I was so glad it was extended. Because
Yes,
I
it's
have
up
to
through
tell
February
you,
now, yeah.
I was going down there the day that it was closing, and because I wasn't sure of the
Yep.
date, and I'm like, oh my god! And then like the very next day, it said that it was going to be extended, so I was like, phew.
Yeah, she
Your
looked out
pressure's
there.
off.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I've seen a lot of the clips and everything
Yep.
from it, and so I'm very excited to
Yeah,
see it.
it was a really well put together show. I mean,
Yeah.
well thought out by her. It's hopefully we'll push out some more stuff afterwards.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of people come back
she
in
had
and
a-
actually talk about being at that one and really loving
I was
how
so
the
bummed
pieces.
to miss the opening. I forget why I couldn't go, but
She had
yeah.
the whole show like on like a life size. I mean, to scale
Grid paper. Yeah.
of the entire space. She like really, she was like a math teacher, so it was like very well thought out.
She's got it all planned out. Yeah.
Like, it was, she did a great job, and I ended up with the North River piece because I mean I hang that show every year,
Right,
so it's
right.
just like, and the date it was definitely a show that I had hung, so I'm like, I'm gonna buy that, and then I'd kind of in my head gone there because I really like her her drawings from her
Yeah.
Drawing a Day series stuff, and I thought I'd end up with one thing, but I talked with her, I was like talking about a couple other pieces, and I went in a different direction, bought something else,
Yeah.
but yeah, her
She's-
stuff's great.
She's the love too.
Got to find out what her
Just
count is at now. For last time I remember, she was around 1,800 or something for 1,800 pieces.
Oh,
Because she was doing one a day.
Oh yeah,
So
I
she
know.
was like,
It's
she's been doing it for like 6 years. I was like, oh
it's
my god.
remarkable. It's so remarkable.
Yeah.
I know.
you're not doing that. Need days off.
I'm a slower painter, I think, on the whole, compared to Jody. And,
Yeah, well, I think some of them are drawings too.
Yeah.
But not that that's not,
Yeah.
not that that's,
She likes
much
to do a lot of
easier
them on
thing.
location when she's at a place and
Yeah.
pen them all out, and then she may fill them in later with some coloring and not. But she likes to be in the space that she's drawing versus trying to work from photographs and things like that. So it's always a
Yeah.
little different, which is nice.
Yeah.
The perspective is always from where she was. So it's just, which is
I
kinda
know,
cool.
it's so cool. It's so cool. I just like when I go somewhere, I'm just looking around and I'm trying to soak it all in my memory and just, keep it there. And then sometimes I'll leave someplace and I can't get it out of my head. So then I know, that's when I know especially that I have to go paint that. 'Cause
Yeah.
it just doesn't leave. And so.
You said you had some other, some other ideas too. We got a lot of ideas. Anything you want to share, or are these going to be surprises? Are you working on anything?
Well, it's more about technique than
Oh, okay.
subject matter, I would say. It's more about just trying out some new stuff, I think, is more. But I still, my interiors, I don't know, I love doing them. And then I love my bedroom. I love doing beds, like
Yep.
rumpled sheets.
Yeah.
I feel like
That's
I've
sort
seen
of,
a
that's
few
sort
of
of,
those.
of the interiors, that's sort of my favorite part to
Yeah.
do, too.
Yeah, they just feel so much more real to me. Like I said, it's just.
Well, the beds are like, to me, I like getting very psychological with all this stuff. But
Like a simple book open, a chair askew, like the lighting in the
Yeah.
shadow, like that's all.
But beds are like that's where we start our day, we end our day. We have angst, we daydream, we have passion.
A third of our life is spent there. So,
it's so many things are and in the old days there were the birthing beds, the die, you die there. I mean, all these. So there's a lot of. It can be very provocative, and there's a lot of psychology that goes on with that. And you're like in your most vulnerable self. I think there it's sort of about being vulnerable and that's okay. And
Yeah.
So
that's supposed to be your safe space at home. That's
right.
your,
Exactly.
So that's where you're the most you.
Yeah, and I think I love nature too, so it's sort of interesting. But I think that's part of what the interiors are about for me too. That's like your. I think when I was younger, I moved around a lot too, and I did as an adult. So that the furniture stayed the same, and you got.
But the space changed, or so it's like you said, from different angles, different perspectives, lighting.
And and even that too, because when I was little, I still remember, as probably a lot of people do, but I remember like following the light around the rooms and watching the dust particles fall.
Oh yeah.
And just being there, and I love to read always, and so I would like read a book, but a lot of times I just sit there and watch the sun and like watch the light come in the room and just daydream and just sit there.
I used to spend a lot of time at my grandmother's house after my father passed, and I was there staying with her. A certain time of day, she had these older woman. She had these crystal everything.
Oh, yeah.
So the light would hit it the right way, and the whole room would light up like a rainbow. And that's always what I remember. So that's why I've always liked color, and probably why I'm part crow, attracted to shiny things. So but it really does change how you see things as you as like I said, the one picture I liked was the one with the amethyst glass with the light coming through it. So it's like it's those things that draw you in that you can make a connection to. So it's very true.
I know.
But like you said, knowing who has it, knowing why they like the piece is probably something that would be nice.
I love
it's
that.
a great tie-in.
That's,
it's something that lets you remember who has it, because you can remember why they told you to
I
take
do.
it.
I think I remember. I think I do anyway. I remember everyone that I've met that has had my work.
If not in memory, at least a feeling of how they thought when they were taking it.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's always cool. They're all a little different. Sometimes people come by for studio visits. Sometimes people buy it. And when they buy it in the galleries, I don't always get to meet them unless they come to an opening, which is always really cool. So that part is, you kind of miss that connection. But also galleries are great because they sell your work. So
people go there for a designated
to
reason.
buy work.
Exactly.
So
do people come by the studio often, or is it?
I wouldn't say like often, but here and there I get poked at to for a studio visit, or someone's interested in the work and they want So
you don't chain the doors and you don't lock people out.
I mean they'll if they aren't, I don't know, they just found me through whatever, or maybe through word of mouth or something. I don't know. But if it is related to a gallery, I'm gonna I'm not gonna not.
Oh no.
Give credit.
They're part of the process. So
galleries are important, right? I think that there is probably some people out there that maybe it's greed or kind of feel like they're
I think sometimes.
But
that
it is
happens.
kind of a
So I can understand why they're careful. It's a great I've had mostly good experiences. With galleries. So
cool.
yeah.
Well,
there's only one more question you got to ask, Dave.
What? Oh, what about Chronicle?
No, well, there's all right. So there's two things we got to talk about. Let's get the Chronicle one out of the way. So you were featured on Chronicle.
Are you talking to me or are you talking to Laura?
No.
You tell your story, then I'll tell mine.
We'll see which people identify with you.
Oh, no, I mean, I think you were more recently on Chronicle, but yeah. You've been on once or twice, or
I mean, there's only one story,
episode?
But they had a
They've run
couple
it a
of
few
repeats,
times, yeah.
which was really nice.
What was the feature of that one? What was that one about?
Well, it was interesting. I was sort of approached by Nicole Estefan to do. It was sort of about expressive arts during COVID.
Okay.
And then also when we were talking, it was about my artwork and mostly just about my artwork and doing expressive arts. So I did a little exercise with someone. I had, one of my clients come in that was willing to be on film.
To be filmed being done, yeah.
And did that with her. And then so we talked about that. And then we talked about my paintings and stuff. And they couldn't have been nicer, like nice people and just lovely. And it was it was really a great experience. It was a little nervy at the beginning.
Oh, sure. Well, I saw the photo of the setup, with everything like, they look like when you're in the shots, like, oh, you're sitting back. No, it's like the camera's like right here. And like, oh,
it's right there.
Just don't look off to the side. Look right ahead. And it's if you're not used to doing it, I'm sure it can be that.
It was tricky. But it was really nice. I got a lot. I mean, like right away, I had so much response to it, and I got a lot of business from it. So, I mean, I'm really grateful to them.
I think it's a well-respected, one that people go to for finding about things around the area, I've learned about so many different little restaurants, shops.
I love that
things
show.
like, it's just so many different little things that you can find out about from that. And
it's so, I miss my mother every day, and that's one. She used to love that show, and she would have been like out of her mind.
Oh,
like,
I wish the news.
I just would have loved for her to see that.
If only the everyday news could be more like that, with just all stories of positivity and things like that. I think we'd be far better off.
Yeah. Well, when I was living far away, she used to call me all the time. Well, on Chronicle today, I saw Laura. You would have loved this show, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So yeah, she loved the show. So.
Little would she know you'd be on it one day.
I know that was
funny.
The funny thing is that I kind of thought about that. Like it was something that was sort of ruminating in the back of my mind. Like, oh, I should reach out to them or something. Yeah. And I never did. And they found me just through Googling me. And I'm like, oh my gosh! Like I was just floored when I got that phone call. So yeah. That was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. Yeah, it's kind of like my experience.
Yeah. What was yours?
Let's talk about yours, dude.
Well,
Let's talk about yours.
There's, like I said, I think it was about 10 years, over 10 years, because I, was having a drink at the time.
Yes.
But, I made a brief appearance, cameo of mine was, but, at Oro, and, with Michael, and Jill came up behind us, and there I was. I think she was the feature, but I was kind of right
and
there.
You too.
Yeah,
sort of. You smiled.
I can't find footage of it though. I wasn't able to.
Really?
No. They've been back on. Now that this latest since their move. Any Google search just turned to that. There is proof. I have seen it.
Am I going to get new homework to go, browse every episode of Chronicle and to find the video, find the one spot?
I'm going to have to get the date. I know from the.
Oh, good. That'll help.
I know that I was. I know that I was drinking at the time, so it's
at least 10.
And I've hit 10 years, so it's like. It's it's got to be
that's
at least like 11 years ago.
Yeah, that's so great.
Or
Oh yeah, that's something.
That's a lot.
That's something to be proud of.
Yeah, well, I'm relatively proud of it.
Would we be here if you hadn't? No, probably not. Probably your mindset wouldn't have changed to the point of where we are now. So yeah, it's a very important.
Yeah, that or it would just be a lot messier.
The paintings would be a little askew.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, something wrong here. I can't quite put my.
No. So we got another question for you. This one we've been wrapping up all the shows with, and been kind of an interesting one. Also, we like to always ask what do you have? What's one of your favorite pieces that you have hanging in your house? Is some, I'm sure that you have multiple favorites. Like myself, I got tons of, and they turn over from time to time. But What's one of the pieces you have at home hanging on the walls?
Oh, that's hanging on
Yeah,
my
just
walls,
something
that you guys framed.
Well, not necessarily that we did, but just something that you enjoy
if we
seeing
framed
on
it,
your
sure,
wall.
it's probably, no, but
Yeah,
no, but,
exactly.
what's something you have hanging up? That
That's a really hard question.
cut it. We'll
Stumped her.
we'll cut that period out while you're thinking it over.
Well, I think it's always evolving.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
it's,
I mean, we're not gonna hurt anyone's
Yeah.
feelings. We just like to get an idea of something that's hanging up in somebody else that creates artworks
Currently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I actually have. I've bought some things from the out of the box.
Oh,
you know,
yeah?
when they
Oh,
have-
yeah.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
have
Yeah.
that, and I have a Susan Ahern piece, which I really love.
I have one of Susan's pieces. I'm trying, I don't think that I bought that one, but it was like on that same type of scale.
Yeah.
I might have bought one of hers from outside the box.
Yeah.
Too.
So I'm gonna say that one for.
Yeah.
But there's so many. I mean, I just
Her style's kind of evolved too. A bit.
Yeah, it
I bought
has.
the one of her. Because I feel like I have a ton, and none of yours yet. But we're gonna change. We will change
working
that.
on that.
But I have like a nice little flower of Susan's.
Yeah, she's really. I mean, I really love her work. She's. I like. seeing
And
her
outside the
stuff.
box is a great. That was a great.
It's a great
fundraiser.
program.
Yeah, it's a great and actually I try to buy stuff for my kids, so they are art collectors
Yeah.
now, and so now my oldest is 35,
Yep.
and he collects, like I love it. He and his wife now are collecting artwork,
Nice.
and
Yep.
so I feel like it's a little.
We have a lot of
inspiration on
people that we've said that they've started that way. What's the other one? Is it North River that does the barn sale?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
barn
that's the
sales.
other
Yeah,
one. That's
yeah.
another great way to start pieces,
Yeah.
because the prices are right for somebody who's just starting out, and the sizes are usually good.
Yeah.
But they don't have to worry about having something that has to have a dedicated space.
Yeah.
Things like that. So it's a great starting point.
Yes,
And you participated in outside the box too?
Oh yeah.
Did you go outside the box with your style, or was it just?
Yeah, well, sort of. Yeah, like I would do like I don't know, like more loose paintings for me, and I don't do as many landscapes, so I've done like some palette knife
Yep.
landscapey kind of things.
Yeah. I wonder if they're gonna do that one again. I know they're doing like a the festival like a contest for that one because I got tapped for a sponsorship.
Yes,
for that.
yes.
But,
Yeah.
outside the box, good. Mary Curran was involved in that for a long time. You know
Yes,
Mary.
yeah, I think actually she bought one of mine.
Did she?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been twisting her arm. I want to have her come on to the podcast
Oh, yeah,
because
yeah,
I think
she'd
she'd
be
be
great.
a fantastic guest.
Yeah,
'cause
she's a great
She
person.
knows, she's been so involved in like the art community down here.
Yeah, she
It'd be
has.
good to get her perspective on things too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and speaking of paintings or things that were framed by you guys too, actually, I had this little old booklet from Nantucket that I want to say it was like 1934 or something was the year, and the front of it was Nantucket, and then inside there was the Chandelier. There's a restaurant there. But anyway, my brother very, very fortunately was able to buy a house there, and so he did, and I found this. It was in my mother's trunk of things, and she happened to have it, and this was years ago that she had it in there. So I got it framed, and I think Scott, you were the one.
So I was just looking it up. I'm like, that sounds very familiar.
Yeah, I think you framed it, and I loved it
Scott's
because.
got the computer.
Yeah,
going.
you
He's
framed
gonna
it,
tell
and
you
then what I loved was on the back of it because I didn't want to it was just a small maybe I don't know 4 or 5 inches by 7 inches or something little magazine.
Was it that one?
I can't see. Yes. Wait.
This
Yeah,
week in
yeah.
Nantucket?
Yeah. That's it. But what was so cool about it is the back of it. You guys made a little slit, and then so that I could put the little magazine.
Oh,
in it,
okay,
So it would
yeah.
all stay together.
So it was all together, yeah.
was
So
like
it wasn't
the
having
coolest
to
thing.
end up in a lockbox or a little drawer somewhere that gets
Right,
lost
right.
and it's not with the artwork anymore. Yeah.
Wait, can you bring that closer?
Oh yeah, hold on. I gotta just do this.
I'm
And then
like, what is
we're gonna
that?
do this. The technical aspects. I wasn't prepared.
I have my contacts on. I can't
Zoom.
always see as well. Oh yeah. That's it.
Yep.
Yeah. That was-
Yeah, our technology is getting much better
Yeah.
too. Even on not just on the social media and the podcast. Now we get
We keep a
documents
digital
of all
record
the,
of everything.
that's
It also
really
helps.
cool.
It really helps trying to.
Plus, I love the way you do these little ones for me. I think
Yeah, like the full float.
Yeah.
Full floats are a great way to display the pieces without losing any coverage of the artwork.
Well, they're neat, like
you know?
you do, because I was like, I don't know how to do this, but I don't want to lose anything. And, I think you came up with the idea of like, well, we can do a mat and then just like do like 1/8 of an inch around
Just to
it,
give it a little
and
bit of a
then-
border and space, just to
so,
keep it.
yeah.
But it gives you that traditional width that you don't get with most floaters. They tend to be very minimalist and thin,
Right.
without them being, 6
Yeah.
inches deep and,
Right,
and 3
yeah,
inches wide.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
weighing 500 pounds. These are a nice way to get to display them without them being too large and also not costing a small fortune, which is also nice too.
Well, I
you
know that's always because these are really, I think they're pretty affordable. So it's like it's.
I do several of my pieces that way, just because, like you said, it's
Simple.
they can be displayed. There's ways to do everything. It doesn't all have to be, super high-end expensive. It's what a lot of people think what custom framing is. It's not really what it is. It's really just finding the best solution for how you want to see your piece
I
displayed.
know. You guys are just so great. You come up with such great ideas for everything.
Problem solvers. That's what
Yeah,
we
you
are.
are.
Appreciate that.
Finishing the puzzle piece.
Appreciate you coming in too, Laura. I feel like we've held you captive for quite a while.
Yeah, I remember you asking how long these usually go for, and we're at an hour and 15 minutes.
All right. I beat a
You're up there.
record.
You're in the running. You're up there.
Well,
Depends on how much I got to edit out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's
Well, I think it's been great having you here.
Oh, man, thank
Actually,
you.
I would love to come down to the studio sometime.
I would-
Bring make a little field trip out of it.
That'd be great.
Bring the mobile mic set up. Yeah.
Get some more footage. Get some pictures of the studio.
That'd be great.
Well, I appreciate you coming in, Scott. Scott will let us know where we can find some more of your stuff.
Yeah, once we get this all
Get
set
it on
up, I'll
Instagram. Get it on.
drop a few keywords, a few hashtags, and a few pieces of information where people can get a hold of you, and
Excellent.
we'll go from there.
Well, thank you so much. I really
thank you for
appreciate
coming in.
having me. I'm very honored to be here, and I'm just so thankful for all that you
Hopefully
guys
we can
do.
have you back for something else later on. Your next Chronicle appearance.
Yeah.
Just,
I'll try to make a cameo. in that one, too.
Exactly.
I'll
we'll
be
set
like,
it
come
up.
on, guys. Come on, let's do it.
Excellent.
All right. Thank you.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.